Assalamualaikum, hello and welcome back to my channel. This is your niqabi sister coming back with another video, and I want to first start out by saying thank you so much to the family and friends who reached out to me, letting me know how excited they are about me starting this. You guys are giving me the encouragement, the confidence to continue with this. So I just want to let you guys know that I do appreciate that. You guys already know I've been a bit nervous. I've said that in my intro. So knowing that you guys have my back makes me really happy. Thank you again so much. Jazakumullah khairan. With that being said, let's get into the video. So in this video today, I will be covering two questions. One being, why did I decide to wear the veil? What made me wear the veil? Especially at a time when Islam, I feel, is the most misunderstood religion here in the United States or everywhere in the world at this point. So why did I make that choice? And also the second question is, what happened right after I wore it? It's very interesting. A lot have happened that I didn't expect really, but I'll cover some of that in this video. And with that being said, I want to take a few minutes to talk about what is the veil, because I don't think I've mentioned that in my intro. And I want to start out by saying that the Quran, and I'll be looking down, I have a little notes so that I'm not sidetracked, so I do apologize if I look down. The Quran calls for both men and women to be modest, and therefore the niqab acts as a show of obedience to Allah, to the Quran, and as well as a symbol of modesty and womanhood. That's the shorter answer. If you want to know more in detail of what it is, I will probably link, I'll probably have a link down below so that you guys can do a little bit of research on your own, and I'll find a great one hopefully, inshallah ta'ala. Now the real question is, what made me wear it? Why did I personally started to wear it? And I want to say that first, none of my family members wear it. I was never raised around niqabis, women who wear the veil. None of my family wear it. None of my relatives wear it. In fact, I'm still the only one who wears the veil, the niqab. And so I want to put out there and say that I'm not forced. I'm totally not forced. This is my own choice. And the first time I was introduced to somebody who wore the veil was actually a friend of mine. She started to wear the veil, and I remember that first time I've seen it, you know, she was wearing all black, and she was like covered from head to toe, only her eyes were showing, and it surprised me. And I was like, what did you do to my friend? And I was, you know, I didn't understand, and I was asking her a lot of questions as to why would bring her to wear it. And it seemed, it was interesting, and it was different. And she answered my questions respectfully, and but what I've noticed from her was she had this beautiful energy to her, this peace, this calmness, this, I can't really put to words. It was just lovely being around her. And at the time I didn't understand why I got that beautiful energy from her, but now I know that, because she was more involved in worship. She was focusing more on her character, more on her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She was involved in, just a lot of worship. And now I know that's where the peace was coming from. And she was constantly just trying to improve herself. And I was like, I like this energy and I want to be around her. And I was around her like all the time, just trying to have that energy rub off on me. And so yeah, I love that about her. But at the same time, what I noticed was it didn't limit her. It really did not limit her. And like, she was one of the top students in her school. She was attending the university at the time, and she was trying to be a nurse, became a nurse, and graduated as a nurse, moved to a different state, unfortunately for me, and she became a nurse and now practicing as a nurse. So it really never limited her. I just felt like it just improved her quality, improved her more than anything. So that's that. And then a few years later, I came across other sisters who practiced it as well. And what I noticed was the same energy. They had the same energy, mashallah. Like, they had that beautiful, like, that had that beautiful, I wish I knew the exact words. Like, I wish I knew, but there was just this peace. That's all I can say. This peace, this harmony, this energy that was coming from them, and that's what I wanted. And I started to hang out with them more. And even then, it never occurred to my mind that, one day I want to wear it as well. It never really came to mind. What really happened was, I've graduated in 2013 and from university, and I wanted to better myself as a Muslim. I realized I was putting so much effort in. I was working for this dunya, this world, and I was focusing more on this world, and I was forgetting about the hereafter. I was forgetting about my relationship with God and my relationship with Allah, and I wanted to improve myself. It all started from there. I just wanted to improve myself, and I remember I dedicated a little more time to reciting the Quran and reading the translation of the Quran. And it was then that I came across a verse. Hold on one second, let me go ahead and get my phone. I don't know why I don't have it with me, but I'm gonna find that verse and I'll read it to you guys. I'll be back. So I remember I was reading Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 35. And I came across this verse. إذ قالت امرأة عمران رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم. Which the translation is, mention when the wife of Imran said, "My Lord, indeed I have pledged to you what is in my womb, consecrated for your service, so accept this from me, indeed you are all hearing, all knowing." And I remember reading that, and it really touched me because I saw the relationship she had with her Lord, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it was just that direct communication that, it was just so beautiful. And what I noticed was her desire to dedicate her unborn child to Allah, which meant like she was going to raise her child as a Muslim, as one who practiced the religion, who constantly works to improve their relationship with Allah. So her dedication, her wanting to dedicate her unborn child to Allah is what really stood out to me. And I remember sitting there kind of thinking about, okay, but what can I do? What can I do to dedicate to Allah? What would Allah want me to, dedicate? And I was just thinking about that, and I came up with this whole list. Okay, maybe I should fast Mondays and Thursdays. There's a great virtue of doing that. And I was like, that's it, stick by that. Or the other choice I had was like start memorizing verses of the Quran, you know, and that could be one, just like dedicate your time to memorizing the Quran was something I was just thinking about. And like I was coming up with all these things I can do, but what stood out to me was, I was like, maybe I should start wearing the veil because I had this amount of love for this niqab. I love the sisters who wore it. They had this beautiful energy about them, and I just fell in love with it, and I decided maybe that's something I want to, that it's something I want to do. That's something that is for me. And I remember I messaged a friend of mine and I said, hey, what advice would you give to a sister who maybe wants to wear the veil, the niqab? And I remember her text messaging me and saying, are you thinking about it? And I was like, I didn't want to answer that question because I didn't want to say I was going to do it and then put it on the veil, and then I feel it turns out that that's not something for me. I didn't want to answer that. I was like, just give me the advice. So she advised me and she said, you know, make sure your intentions are clear, your intentions are good, and you're doing it for the sake of Allah. If you're doing it for the sake of Allah, you will stick by it. Allah will make it easier for you. And when things get hard, you know, you will always come back to that reason. And that was the best advice that I got, because every time things got a little bit difficult, I remember that and advice. So yeah, so that explains, that is why I wore the veil. I just wanted to get closer to Allah. I want to be more modest. I fell in love with the veil and I wanted to dedicate something to Allah. That's the short answer. So the next question is, what happened right after I wore it, right? The next few days, the months of wearing it, what is it that I experienced from people? And I remember people started to watch out what they say around me. Like, they started to not curse around me, and whenever they curse, they apologize, like strangers. And what was so interesting was seeing it from people who were not Muslim at all. You know, I remember this one incident, this guy was talking on the phone and he was just like, you know, talking to his friend, and he was a non-Muslim. He just went to this cursing mode. He just started cursing, and he was looking around, so he looked at my direction, he saw me, and then he was like, I'm so sorry, you know, I'm so sorry, and he called me Sister Mary. It was really interesting, being attributed to Maryam alayhi salam. It really touched me that when he said, you know, I'm so sorry, Sister Mary, like it was beautiful. So that was that. I started to notice that they start to watch out what they say and how they behave. And the other thing that happened, let me look down my notes, people started to put me in a high pedestal. Now I suddenly became this person who know a lot about the deen, this sheikhat, somebody say, this scholar. They thought I knew so much. Like, they thought that I was this righteous girl who knew a lot about her deen, and I did not. Like, I knew the bare minimum. Like, I just knew the basic, and that was that. But it was so weird having to experience that. And I had sisters who would come up to me, ask for advice, a lot of advices, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not fit to answer these questions because I don't have that much knowledge. I just put this on to get closer to Allah, but sisters, I really don't know much. You know, it was hard, like, telling that to them because they had this huge expectation for me, and it was sad that I couldn't live up to that. it actually like forced me to want to study a little more, and which is the good thing that came out of that, if any. Like I started to attend Quran classes and memorize some verses of the Quran, started reading the translations, and then just like trying to educate myself a little more. So, and I still don't know much. And I still get weird when sisters come up to me and ask me certain questions that I can't answer. And I always tell them, like, I'm sorry, sister, I really don't know how to answer this, and kind of refer them to somebody else who I think might know how to answer their question. So that was that. The other thing was, because now that I'm completely covered and my face is covered, I no longer had to really put so much effort trying to, like, so much effort on my appearance. I didn't have to spend hours in front of the mirror trying to put makeup on, trying to look cute. I didn't have to do that, which there was now this time where I can dedicate time to improving my relationship with God, and you know, and improve my character, and yeah, so that's what happened. I started to focus within myself. And another thing that happened was I began to be aware about my sins more. And if I forget, other people reminded me. Strangers reminded me. You know, they're like, I'm sorry, but does the niqab sister supposed to do that? Or are you supposed to do that? And I'm like, oh. It really forced me they like forced me to look within myself and correct those mistakes. So yeah, so I felt like this is going to be a long video. I do apologize if it's long, but those were the expectations, or those were the things that I've seen right after putting on this niqab. And there's a lot more that I do want to share, inshallah, in the upcoming videos. And again, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. If there's any sisters who wear the veil and you can relate to this, please do comment below, and share with me what were your reasons for wearing the veil. And if there are other sisters who are thinking about wearing the veil, comment down below if you have any questions for me that maybe I can answer for you. And thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.